right here I come. Magic carpet styling, move like magic excellence. Proof unique reminding. Getting round that losing shop. My word, she back again. You will never end the rain. We keep multiplying. Running through the evidence. There's no denying.
Hi, family, and welcome to Get the Tea on Me Royalty. I wanted to get on here today because, just like I said, my channels are very new, and I know a lot of the people that are subscribing, they have no clue who I am. And so I really want to dive in a little bit because I posted a video the other day. I had to edit the video a great deal because I was showing parts of my life when my husband was still living, like the last 4 days of his life. And I had to edit so much because I wanted to protect his privacy. And a lot of people probably didn't understand that video. It was me basically showing, because I found these videos and I always want to continue to make him a part of what I'm doing. So I have this YouTube channel. He told me to do some things in his name, which I am doing, which I can't speak about right now, but I'm building some things in his name, and it's coming out great, you guys. But I'm building some things in his name because he had Parkinson's. And in the video, I'm showing you kind of like the last 4 days of him being here on this planet. And he's laying out in the grass, and I'm showing you how I'm kind of frantic because I'm trying to figure out natural, holistic ways to heal him because he refused to go to the doctors. He refused to sign anything that said that he had Parkinson's disease. And me being his wife, trying to take over, and him being an Aquarius and a very dominant spirit, he wasn't having it. he wasn't having it. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that he was able to do everything his way. Shall I say, as grim as that sound, because he did end up committing suicide 4 days later. So the videos that you're seeing is of him struggling to get through it. As I'm saying, baby, we can do this. I'm encouraging him. So now, after all the years I've been telling him to go out in the backyard and do some grounding, he finally went out there and started doing some grounding. And but it was in the last stages where his mind was actually deteriorating, because my husband used to, my husband had traveled the world. He had all kind of degrees, and he had, lived a very rich life when it came to the way he would eat, the way he would drink. You know what I mean? Because my husband, his whole family, they loved to drink. That was kind of like the man thing to do. Everybody had their most expensive cognacs and all of that. At the end of the day, all of that took a toll on him. And when I came into his world, I was the girl that came to clean out his system, so flushing him with juices and starting him on teas and all these different things, regulating his body, because I was learning things from him as far as African spirituality and our powers and our gifts as African women. And so in that video, the videos that I'm showing, is kind of like the last days of us being together. And I wanted to basically get on here and just kind of give a little bit more tea when it comes to what was going on with those videos, because at the end of one of the videos, I'm like, oh my God, he's good.
Yeah, I like that little gold table. How you feel this morning?
I'm good. You all right?
Mm-hmm. I love you. Okay. I was thinking maybe I can make you a smoothie this morning. That'd be good. And get I put some apples in it, some pears.
Yeah, okay. That's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna mix that up right now. Get it started. Yes, he's gonna do the smoothie. Oh my God, this might not be as hard as I thought. All right, you guys, I'll be back.
Because he was basically fighting me. He didn't want to do any. He wanted to give up. He was like, if it's time for me to go, it's time for me to go. That's what he was saying, and that's what he was telling me. And me, that was breaking my heart. I was like, no, we're going to do this. You just got to stop the drinking. You got to stop going into this depression. Let me help you. Let's, start grounding. If you don't want to, let's do the natural remedies. He was tired of fighting. And so that's why he ended up committing unaliving himself March 5th, 2022. And so when I'm showing those videos, I was actually going through my computer and my documents and stuff, and those videos were there. And I was so excited just to see the videos, but they brought a lot of tears. And I said, you know what, I'm going to post this because this was part of our story. This was part of our struggle, and it was after, after it actually happened, it was kind of like so heavy that I would have never thought about posting that on social media. Um, though that is part of our story, and it is a beautiful part of the story. And what's so crazy is when I look at the videos, it's like I had lost so much weight just from stressing. I had big old bags under my eyes. You guys, and I was able to go back into that space and see how far spirit has brought me. That was really what was key. I was able to go back into that space, of where I was feeling what I was feeling, and fighting for my baby and all of that, to where I am now, and just feel how I've been carried. Just feel how I've been carried through everything, and the beauty of it all. Yes, I had to sell my home, and as you guys can probably see in the video, it was a beautiful home. I mean, 3-car garage, with the everything, just everything was accessible to us, and we even had an abundance of fruit trees, which I'm gonna put the pictures up here of just how spirit had really gifted us with like a tropical paradise, where I was to heal myself and my inner child, and my husband was supposed to be healing his inner child as well, because we had both went through pretty traumatic childhoods, though it's harder for men to heal sometimes. So he wasn't with the whole diving in and talking about the things that happened to him as a child, which he has told me it is okay to speak about, though I am working on a project where I will be speaking about everything that he went through, from what I know, from what his family has told me, what he went through what he went through as a child, and why it was so hard for him to heal. And to this day, we are best friends. My husband, he's sitting right here right now. He inspires me to do everything that I do. If I can't figure something out, he makes me figure it out. And at the end of the day, I really wanted to just explain that video, because it was very important for me to put out there what it is that I went through in those last days with my husband. And as you can see, he's mopping the house, and as he's mopping, because we're into African spirituality, like just like I just mopped my whole house the other day with something called crinoline. And crinoline basically runs out any evil spirits, and I can notice it happen. I can have a toxic neighbor, and as soon as I start doing my crinoline and ringing my bells and clearing the energy, those spirits disappear. And so he was doing those rituals, mopping the house with the crinoline. And in the video, I kind of cut out some of the things that we're saying back and forth to each other. I was telling him, baby, you probably need to open up some doors and some windows. But and we had like a little debate back and forth for a minute. But at the end of the day, he was mopping the house to cleanse out spirits and things, because he knew that he was going to go ahead and unalive himself, but he was trying everything that he could do um not to do that, because my husband was in love with me, and one thing he didn't want to do was leave me. I know that for a fact. And which is why I'm so glad that he didn't decide to unalive me too, because you have people that have done that. They love somebody so much and like, hey baby, you coming with me. And basically he was my star brother who came here to basically hand me my magic, because I was a diehard Muslim, 100%, when I met him. And he's the one that took me to Egypt, showed me who I was before this incarnation, and basically stood me up on my feet, so that I knew how to fight spiritually and everything. I know how to fight some spiritual warfare. I know how to kick some ass. Okay, period. And it's because of him. Because he used to do magic on me and make me fight him back. He did. And he would say, baby, I would tell him, I used to tell him when we got together that we needed to have a gun upstairs and downstairs, because, you never know what part of the house you're going to be in if something was to happen. And he would always tell me, baby, all you need is your magic. All you need is your magic. You don't need this. All you need is your magic. And turns out that's all I require. That's all I require. I can sit on this bed right here and conjure up anything that I want to. I can move anything in any way that I require for it to move. Not to sound like, all, like, but actually I can. And even sometimes I forget how powerful I am. And I get caught up in this matrix where I'm, moping and groaning about things, forgetting that I have the power to change my destiny. I have the power to create my reality. So spirit will sometimes place us in situations and we don't know what those situations are about. I didn't know that my husband was going to end up leaving me, though I did know when we purchased that property that we were there to heal ourselves, because just like I said, it was a tropical paradise. We had every fruit tree that you could ever imagine. We even had grapes. Like, I'm talking about, I never had to go through the produce section. All the desserts that you see inside of my well, not all of them, but most of the desserts that you see inside of my cookbook called A Vegan Womb is a Magical Womb was created from fruits that was on our fruit trees, from whether it was peaches, whether it was figs, no matter what it was, I was getting it from. The apple pies were all made from the green apple tree. We had a green apple tree, we had the cherry tree, we had the plum tree, the peach tree. We had the blood oranges. We had everything back there. It was really beautiful how spirit had set us up to heal our inner children, because that's what we were there for. And my husband, it was just hard. It's harder for men. What I found is that it is harder for men to heal themselves, because sometimes the trauma that they went through, especially if it was molestation by another man or something like that, that is traumatizing for a man to be to feel like he's honoring his manhood and still speaking that truth. And so I learned about a lot of things that happened to my husband when he was growing up. He grew up with his grandmother, which should tell you a lot, because his mother had mental challenges, she was very powerful. She had the voice of a goddess. Like, she could sing better than Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston put together. And she had other gifts that were never activated because she grew up in a toxic situations. And she grew up in toxic situations. And when our gifts are not activated, they backfire on us. When it can look like drug addiction. It could look like just anger all the time, depression. It can look like a lot of different things when we don't activate our gifts. And that's why it's so important to know thyself and to activate thy magic. Said my husband's family went through a very tumultuous path, which caused him to have to heal some very toxic energies. And I can say he did a very good job in the end. At the end of the day, I did get him to stop drinking. He stopped drinking the alcohol, but by the time he decided to give me the reins and let me control things, it was kind of too late. As you can see, he was laying out there in the backyard. He was doing all the grounding, and I mean, I was in that backyard every day. I stayed out there burning my candles, burning my sage, swimming in the pool, you know what I'm saying, communicating with the trees, all of that. And in his last days, he actually decided, hey, let me try what she's been telling me all this time. And I show you in the video where I had made him his juice, and I'm talking about he's gonna be vegan. If I'm cooking, he's gonna be vegan because
The juice, smoothies, going vegan, because if I'm gonna be cooking for him, he's about to be vegan. No more. He only drunk some of his juice, and as you can see, he just got his whole little. He has a whole little area over here, and he's just been doing altar work and you know putting things on the altar, telling his altar, the spirits to come and help him and things like that. So he set a whole table last night for the spirit, for the great spirits and stuff to come and help, and I completely understand that part of it, because ever since he's done that, he's been at peace. It's like they're instructing him on what to do. He came down last night and I was kind of nervous because, when he's cooking, well, anyway, he knows how to cook. He cooked up that whole meal last night and was really excited about it. And then he put it on the table and, asked for the spirit support and all of that. And then he went upstairs and went to bed. And he woke up this morning and he was fine. It was really peaceful. I play al-Bakra all day, which is an Arabic something, that clears the house. So I play that first thing in the morning every day, which always calms him. We could be having an argument and I'll start playing al-Bakra and he'll just calm down and start, relaxing. So I hope he lays out there for a good minute, you guys, because I'm telling you, that is one of the things I used to try to get him to do all the time, is to go outside and ground, baby.
because he had been bossy. He been bossing me around, basically, like, I'm gonna eat the way I want to eat. I'm gonna do what I want to do. But anyway, my baby made a beautiful transition. His transition was through him unaliving himself, though, because he found me and passed the torch to me, that was a huge victory in the spirit realm. He basically saved my life, okay? Because I had a lot of people attacking me spiritually, and because I was Muslim and was taught all of my powers were evil, I didn't know how to fight back. Now I know how to kick your ass and your mama ass and everybody else, okay? But at the end of the day, yes, my baby, he did a great deed with that, so they honor him in the spirit realm. And also, because I was concerned about his spirit because he unalived himself. And they told me that the reason he was able to come back, because he was back in 2 days to assist me on my journey forward. And I was wondering how that happened, being that he unalived himself. And from what I had learned about that transition and how long it could take for that soul to actually be able to, get back busy, my husband was back in 2 days because the energy that unalived itself was not my husband. It had already My husband had already transitioned into the background, and whatever was controlling that vehicle at that point was not my husband. So he wasn't even able to be held fully responsible for that action, and so that was how he dodged that. Because if I was to sit here and do something like that to myself right now in my right mind, yes, spiritually I will be totally held accountable. But if our mind has left us or is leaving us, some days my husband would say, "Your name is Casima, right? Your name is Royalty, right?" And I'd be like, "Yes," and then I would just start crying. I would have to always hide my tears because I never wanted him to see that I was that stressed out, because it would stress him out. But anyway, you guys, at the end of the day, yeah, that video was just of me just showing a little bit of his demise. And because I've always shown the good parts of our life and the travels and all of that stuff. But yeah, that was kind of like a vulnerable moment for me, fighting to try to keep everything balanced. And in the end, it was, a victory that I was able to cross his path, and to actually get him started healing his inner child, even if he didn't want to complete the whole assignment. I got the ball rolling, and now his son is going to take over, and his grandchildren are going to take over, healing the rest of the lineage, as far as, the rest of the way. My husband has gained his rank in the spirit realm and has told me he would like for me to um basically speak on his story, of course protecting his privacy as much as I can, but speak on his story in the hopes that it could help someone else who may have, been on a journey with someone with Parkinson's. Because now because of him going through Parkinson's, I am now a holistic healer. I am into holistic medicine. I am considered a native doctor. I can heal you spiritually. I can heal you through Reiki, using life force energy. I can do distant Reiki. I've done it before and seen it, be very successful, very effective. I've seen results with my distant Reiki healing, and I have the power of the hands, girl. I'm just power packed. Okay, I'm power packed. And when I was Muslim, I didn't know all of that. And my husband came to wake all of those gifts up inside of me. Because I want to say this before I leave, because I've been speaking a lot about the Black woman, and I actually just posted a video on how our powers and our gifts were stolen from us, and we were burned at the stake so that our newer generations wouldn't know their powers. So as African women, we have to know that if we're not waking up our inner gifts, we're really not living up to our full potential. We're not living out our full purpose. So just make sure that whatever's going on in your life, and whatever schools of thought that you're coming from, that they're your schools of thought. There's things that have been proven to you, and not something that your mama told you and your daddy told you and your grandmama did it. Because your grandmama did it, and her mama did it, and her daddy did it, and what I'm saying. And but who are you? And because right now, this is just like I said, it's the year of the 9. This is where feminine energy is on the rise, and how can you rise unless you know the truth? And so let's keep rising, because at the end of the day, no matter what they say, in each and every single way, I am royalty. You are royalty. We are royalty, family, and I shall see you in a minute. Ashe.
Oh, broke that right, you I come. Magic carpet styling, move like magic excellence. Proof unique reminding. Getting round and losing some. My word, she back again. You will never end the rain. We keep multiplying. Running through the evidence, there's no denying.